to, right now, he needs to really work hard in the weight room. He needs to work at getting bigger. And he needs to really work at the plate. The skill set is there, and we've got to get him his preparation and his work habits to match his skill set. Right?
Where's his weight? You know, like where's it now? Where would you like it to be?
I'm not going to give you an exact weight, but he needs to gain something. It doesn't have to be a ton, because again, the defense is predicated on having guys that can play, not putting them in pieces where they don't fit. He can play in our defense right now, but it's no different than Denzel was 208 pounds his freshman year, and he made a commitment to the weight room, and now he's 242 pounds. So there's no reason why Jermaine can't make that same commitment.
Weak side, strong side, where do you?
He's a weak side guy. He's a weak side backer. He can play. He can play out in space. He can play the field. He's good on third down. Like I said, he's very versatile. He can cover tight ends. He can cover backs. He can blitz. He's instinctive. So he's just. Sometimes those guys, they come in here. It was natural for them their whole life. And it goes easy for them. It's a little harder at this level. There's more. You're going to see a whole lot more, and there's more preparation. So he's getting it. We got good mentors there with Denzel and Kirby and those guys. Mike is always staying on him, so we'll continue to make him better.
Is it Quan Muhammad and Tyreek at that rush end spot?
Yes.
Is that the battle there? Can you talk about that battle and kind of what you're seeing from them so far?
Well, I think it's good. I think they're two talented guys. That's I don't want to make them I don't want to say they're one-dimensional guys, but they are good pass rushers. They obviously were opposite one another last year on third down for us, and they still are. So I have the ability to get them on the field separately and together right now. So they're versatile guys. They're long. They're strong. They're each 6'3", can rush the passer, can set the edge. Can jam and reroute guys if they have to drop and do that kind of stuff. So
do you see anybody kind of being a third guy in that? Or maybe coming in on third downs?
Well, working right now, Darian Owens is playing Sam linebacker, but on third down we've played him at that rush position. Tyreek goes over and plays on the other side, plays end, and then Darian's been behind Quan, and he's looked really good doing it, really natural. He's a good rusher.
Physically, he seems like he's
same
ready to
category
play.
Of guys, 6'3", 232. So they're all in that 6'3" range. I think Tyreek's about 232, 235 once, and we're between 236 and 238. So have some symmetry and stuff to look the same.
How's
Go ahead.
I just want to know how Dallas is doing. I'm asking every day. Can you see improvements, even though it's early?
Yeah. Well, he's a football player. He's gonna show up and he's gonna be physical. We all know that. We've seen him do multiple things. So at the end of the day, he's now on the other side of the ball. So he's got to reverse his thinking. And as I always say, safety is the toughest position. So
I know last practice he gave up at the very end a touchdown, and Al said he was upset about it.
Yeah, and again he learns that lesson. Again, that's why we always try to work a 2-minute situation every day. We're working them in the spring because those are tough situations, and you learn from them. Obviously, if we're in a situation where we're up by 6 points, we try to give them a scenario every day. It's a 3-point game, and they need a field goal. So therefore, we're really going to pressure them and give tight coverage. If it's a 7-point game, we want to make sure that one thing we don't do is give up, a deep ball. So they learn. They learn as we do it. They wouldn't learn if we just decided, in training camp or week before to say let's go do 2 minute. We try to do it every day. So they learn from those scenarios because they usually win and lose games.
What do you challenge Fig to get better at?
Just as Mike always says, Coach, detail your work. There's no problem with his effort. There's no problem with his physicalness. And again, I'm going back to last year. And so far, he has. He's done what we've asked him to do. He's playing like a veteran guy out there. The first 3 practices, he's been very vocal. He's taken charge out there, even though that's not necessarily the role of Sam linebacker. But he's been very vocal. He's played 100 miles an hour.
What held him back last year?
I mean, he was a freshman. And he was a starter for us, so I wouldn't say he was held back. He was a starter until he ended up getting injured and didn't play the second half of the year. So he was a starter. So he was a starter. He was a freshman starter. He wasn't a senior starter. He was a freshman starter. So the only thing that held him back, I guess, from
getting nicked,
being an all-conference player, is that he was a freshman. That's where he's at. He was a freshman starter. So I think that was great.
He looks really chiseled. He's really
They worked hard in the offseason. Again, they're all they're kind of in that same range. Him and Thurston are about 232, 235. Darian's about 232. Quan and McCord, they're all kind of in that range. The Sams and the Rushes, so those guys are similar.
How about Kamalu at defensive end? How's his progression been since his
this season?
Very good. You know, you guys all know he didn't have the luxury of spring ball, he didn't have the luxury of summer, and he didn't have the luxury of training camp. He started August 10th for us, which was well after we installed the whole defense. So, you know, he did better and better as the year went on. He made some plays. He had a really good offseason. So, we expect big things. The good news is, you know, he's a kid we got out of junior college, but he was a 3-for-3 kid. So he's got 2 more seasons.
Erdalu, how's he doing?
Good. I'm interested to watch the tape. You know, again, he's come in and worked really hard. As I mentioned the other day, he's been a guy that's going to be behind the curve from a conditioning standpoint. When you come in here and you're not used to what we're doing at this program, he's had to play some catch up as far as the conditioning part, and then obviously he's just learning the defense. This is his third day. What I've seen from him, though, is I've seen that I think he's very strong. He's got a really strong lower body, and he can play with good paddling. So, you know, he's got to get his technique, and he's got to get his conditioning going, and he's got to be able to learn the package. But it's much better than having him start now than bringing him in August. There's no doubt. This will be a big benefit for him.
I know you touched on it the other day. I wasn't here. I'm sorry, but Denzel, when you found out he was coming back, how did he tell you, or how did it? What was your reaction when you found out?
Well, we were obviously, you know, all thrilled to have him back. I think everybody spent a lot of time just talking with him and just, you know, talking about the pros and cons, and you know, kept keeping his family in the loop and, you know, giving him information so he could make a great decision. And I thought from the beginning that he would, because a lot of times, sometimes those guys, when they have it made up in their mind, they just say, "Hey, coach, I'm moving on," and he wasn't in that situation. I think, you know, he intended on coming back. I think he knew what he wanted to accomplish as, you know, as a team, what he wanted to accomplish academically, and ultimately, I think he knows he's going to be a lot better at the end of this season than he was last year, which is ultimately going to improve his draft position. So.
Al mentioned the other day that you guys have had to tell him it's okay. Your 242 is good, 245 is good. You know, the work he put in the off season, and just how tough is it sometimes when you have a kid that wants to keep going, when you have to try and rein him in a little bit.
No, it's great, and again, that was, you know, you guys remember, you backtracked 2 years ago. You know, that was the biggest thing we were talking about with him is that we wanted him to became naturalism as a freshman. He was making explosive plays, and he was making a lot of plays for us as a true freshman. And sometimes when guys have success like that, it comes easy, and they're not training themselves to work as hard as they can. But he's taken the challenge, and he's been our hardest worker. He sets a great example for those guys. So, you know, just right now, you know, as far as him getting heavier and gaining weight, we want to maintain the speed that he played with last year in that 240, 242 range.
Move for him to the middle, just sort of natural, sort of what you guys did with Sean.
Yeah,
I get to that point where you need a guy like him in the middle.
You need a guy who's a veteran guy to kind of run the show, and then when you have a very good player like that, put him in the middle. You know, doesn't allow teams to, you know, run the ball away from him, and you're not restricting him to playing really one side of the defense.
You noticed that a lot last year too, sort of avoiding his
Well, you know, I would think, you know, again, he was very good on the weak side. He ran things down on the front side, but you know, he'll know both. And again, we talked about that with him, and that's something that'll help him too. You know, that's something that when his opportunity comes, you know, next April, guys are asking about him, we could say, yeah, he's very smart. He knows he can play, you know, either position. He can run the defense. He calls the defense and all that stuff. So that's something that's going to help him as well.
Thank you.
Okay.